Hello guys, it's dlwalker at Holeshot Performance Products in front of Rip Jr. Went on a little break-in ride yesterday, as you probably already know by seeing the first video. I think I did 58 miles just around the neighborhood. So you got to have one of these when you have these new bikes with a million settings. But you know, I've been dealing with it. Did go out and ride it, and so I had, I think, on mode 1, drive mode, which is the most aggressive for the engine part, and then traction control I had turned all the way down, also on 1. And a couple times I kind of rolled on it, second gear, even first gear, and I don't know. It's still kind of lazy. It makes it lazy below $4,000. So then I turned all the nannies off, and I like it much better. If you can turn it off, the traction control, and that turns off the slide control, the wheelie lift control, and then your mode you still have to set. So you just put that in 1, the most aggressive, which still isn't that aggressive. But anyway, now it will kind of, you know, you can twist the grip, use your wrist. And let's face it, it's going to be a quick little bike on a mountain road, no doubt about it. But it ain't no Igor, right? So I like to ride the bike myself, control what I'm doing myself. So what I thought I'd do is go through some of the settings and show you on the dash now that I'm kind of learning by the manual. And then what we'll do is I'm going to put the camera on the bike and my mic and do a little mic check. The other camera I use, and I'm going to go out for another little spin, and I'll show you the tack and the shifter on board. I'll go out and romp on it a few times. Like I say, it's got enough miles. It will by the time I get down there. I'll probably have about 85, 90 miles on it today total on the OD. So let me grab the camera. I'll stick it on a little mount, my camera I use for the off the bike videos, and I'll show you the dash and go through some of the settings, show you how it works. Okay, let's do that. Okay guys, I got my little suction cup on the gas tank. Looks like it's going to work out fine for out on the road too. Anyway, so on the left side on the Yamaha is your mode. Okay, mode switch. This will, you can adjust the traction control and the different riding modes like engine response and so on. You can also go manually in the dash in the menu and set up a custom one for you. But this will allow, on this switch, when you hold it upright, it allows you to turn it off. So you can turn off the traction control. That gets rid of the wheelie lift. The traction control kicking in at all, and it's the most aggressive and on all that stuff, which I don't really need. So over here, I'm just kind of holding my camera before I tighten it down. Here's your thumbnail switch. Yeah, this is kind of funky. First of all, this thing is you know, ride-by-wire. And the throttle is fairly stiff. There's no throttle cables. It's all electronic on these bikes. Somebody trying to call me on a Sunday. Anyway, it's all electronic. And then what you do here, this lets you cycle through, and then you push it one time to cycle to get to your other menu or like different function. And then once you get it set, you push it. Okay, so that this though, when you're riding, is kind of a pain. I mean, my hands aren't tiny, but they're not big either. And to go down the road and even check the fuel mileage, you're doing this and you're doing this, and you start. So I don't know. It works okay. I guess I'll get more used to it, but it's not ideal. I'm not that stoked about this, and I wasn't on the, to be honest with you, on the MT-10 either. So that's my opinion about that. So let me tighten down my camera here up a little bit and see if I can zoom in just a hair, because I'm not going to show you what I'm doing on the switches. I just told you. So let's turn it on. And that's the TFT dash, which is the tin something filament. It's the trick of stuff right now, colored. It does show up well in the sun. Alright, so here's the mode. So I can push the mode button over here, and then I'm cycling up with the left hand button. So 1 is your most aggressive with the engine response and power, then 2 a little less, 3, and then 4 all the way to rain mode, whatever, makes it a lazy toad. Even on 1 with the traction control on, it's still a little lazy below 3500. I can tell it's holding it back. I don't want that. I want to control it with my right wrist. So now what we do, instead of cycling up and down with the buttons above and below the mode, you push the mode button and it switches over to traction control. See? So that's the least amount of intrusion. Manual, then you got 2, 3, 4, and there's a manual, and you can go into the main menu and do that. So what I do is I go to 1, then you hold the top button on, and now the traction control is turned off. So that gets the wheelie controls turned off, traction controls off, and also a slide drift control that controls the rear wheel. Okay, so then that's set. So now I'm going to cycle, see, with the little menu wheel on the right with my thumb, and see how I can go here, push that, and then I can cycle through temperature, the fuel mileage, trip meters. See, like trip yesterday, yeah, 58 miles. I push it. See, then it lets you get out of there. Okay, so that's the basics. Now we go to the setting little wheel. On the tracer, it's different. You hold the button down, it gets you into the menu. This one here, you do it, and you stab the button once. Okay, now we're in the main menu. Okay, so I'll just show you. I'm not going to change anything because I worked on it yesterday. So display setting, that's just a few things like that. Now, tacho color I had off, now it's on, so when it revs up the tachometer changes colors. I haven't even used it yet. I winged it in neutral here, but when we get out on the road you'll see that. I'm not changing anything. So now we go back down here. That's to get out of here. Push the wheel straight in once, gets back to your menu. Manual traction control setting, okay? So I have the lift control off, slide control off, and this says 1, but it's not because I override it with the button on the left. Okay. Anyway, that just seems how it functions. Vehicle settings. Okay, BC setting. I have that on 2. That's your brake control setting. It's not ABS. It's kind of ABS, but brake control 2 is if I come in a corner real hot, I'm on the rear brakes, it will sense if it's braking loose just a little bit, and it will not put the brake on real hard, which I barely have. I don't really like much rear brake, period. The Kawasaki, the rear brake's pretty weak, and that's just how the ABS works, so it works pretty good, Mr. Green. I don't want too much rear brake, so I set it on 2. And now the quick shifter settings. See, quick shifter upshift, quick shifter downshift, I got them both on. So when I hit the shifter, it's gonna, you got to let off the throttle or it won't let it do it. But you'll see when I'm riding it that the little green, the little up and down arrow where it says QS will flash green. That means it's functioning when I'm out on the road. Let's get out of here. If it's gonna let me. Come on. Huh. There. Yeah, sometimes it does weird stuff. I'm still learning, but I think it's learning too. Okay, shift indicator. I haven't set this yet. I haven't tried it yet. So I set it to start now at 8,000 and stop at 10.4. At 10,600 RPM, this thing hits the rev limiter. Even though you see the rev limit starts at about 10, 6, or 8, and cleared at 13. Now, why did they even put those numbers on there? It won't rev past 10.8 or 10.6. So I'm experimenting with this today, and you'll see it. I'll pull over, probably adjust it, and see if I can talk to you under the microphone to be under the seat. I don't know. So, but that's brand new settings, and I'm learning about that. So that's something I want to go try. Okay, and then the rest is maintenance, unit, brightness of the screen, don't need how to set the clock, and all reset, which I'm not going to push after I did everything. Let me see. See, so that's it. Kind of it. I'm kind of learning like you. Let me start it. Now watch the tack. The tack did not used to be colored. Yeah, see it changes color now. Didn't do that before. It was all just one thing, like blue or something. So, pretty cool. Alright, let me get the camera set up. I'm going to do a little test video, make sure my mic's working, mount it under the seat, and then we're going to go for a spin. Okay guys, got my little drift camera set up. This is what I use out on the road on the bike. Got the external mic mounted right under here. Running the cable down like this. You know, still got to use a cable, but boy, it sure works in the wind nice. So, I'm going to do let's do a little test video real quick. Just make sure I always do a test video. Start it up for a second, and I'll show you the one off of here real quick before we go. Testing, testing. Alright, well, we're about to leave on our little ride, and of course the wind is starting to come up. Oh well, the way it goes, I think. In the northern Nevada desert, we're about 4,500 feet, and it can change in an instant. See the room on the end down there? That's the dyno room. Alright, so I'll just be turning the camera off and on, showing you the dash, and you'll hear it when I'm using the electric shifter, which would be most of the time on the upshift, probably not all the time on the downshift because we're on more flat roads out here in Mexico. Okay, let's get rolling. Hey guys, well, we got a severe wind gust, probably 40 miles an hour. This direction is a little bit of a tailwind, but severe crosswind. On the way back, it's impossible. Anyway, one of the times when I kind of rolled it on, I pulled over and turned the bike off, and that cancels out traction control off. You got to manually do it, and I didn't do it. So I'll do one more little blast down the road right here in Mexico, and this is kind of a crosswind here, not as bad as coming towards me, that's for sure, but it's still terrible. So we'll do that, and then we'll head back to the shop. Right now I've gone about 42 miles, I think. Way out yonder by those mountains. I was way down there until finally the pavement turns to dirt. Okay guys, I'm back at the shop. Man, what a wind-blown thrash that was. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to go in and set the quick shifter differently. I didn't like it where it was. Go into the menu. See here. Shift indicator. Yeah, see, I got it on at 8,000. Kind of useless anyway, really, but there's no reason to twist this thing past 10 grand. If you get close to the red line, it won't shift. It even says that in the manual, which is 10.6. So what I'm going to do is the starting point, I'm going to put up about 9,000. Okay, and then basically I'm going to go to the, whoops. Yep, now I'm going to go down to the stopping point, and all it does is highlight those bars. It doesn't really do much. You can see it, but, and I'm going to put it at 10 grand. So anywhere in that thing, you're in the meat of the power on this thing. Okay, so now starting at 9, ending at 10. That way you're way 600 RPM before the rev limit, which I'm sure it's making no power up there anyway. So anyway, let me exit. I'm going to sit down and kind of go over the bike before I take a seat. So the shifter needs to be adjusted. My ride yesterday I was just putting, but my left ankle still tweaked from being broke, and man, this thing, it shifts so easy, but the shifter's way too high. I actually have to take my foot off the foot peg, lift my foot up in the air and push down to downshift it. And then the upshift, of course, I am forcing my foot up further than my natural motion. So I'm going to have to adjust that linkage and get it dropped down and get that comfortable for me. The bars seem fine. I got the levers set up good. Brake brakes are so-so. I'm sure they're going to stop just plenty good, but they could definitely be better. And as far as I can tell, they are the same rotors as the front of Rusty here. And this, hopefully, in the future is what's going on. The MT-09 Rip Jr. So Rusty's one step ahead. Those are full floating wave rotors from Galfer. They're awesome with their centered pads. That's what I have on Mr. Green. Boy, what a difference it made. So getting over to the seat. You know, why do they make these bikes that are like, you know, 10 grand, 12 grand, blah, 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 and they still can't figure out how to build a seat, can they? It isn't terrible. It's better than the MT-10 a little bit, but it's still, you can kind of see it. Now the bike's up on a stand, but it's still downhill a little bit too much. It isn't terrible. Everybody's shaped differently, but I could definitely do a better job. If you go to my website, look at the 2017 SV650 seat I make with Corbin, but it's my own shape. I wish I was closer to Corbin. Who knows? Maybe I'll trailer this bike and design my own seat. It needs to, it would be a little bit taller no matter what, because you have to add foam to shape it right, and you still want some foam in there, otherwise it's a board. But yeah, it needs to be shaped up towards the tank a little more, come downhill just a little in the back, and then radius up real nice, but nothing major, just a couple little tweaks would be really nice. So that's my deal there. And anyway, let me go sit down for a second. Well guys, that was interesting. You should hear the wind now. It's about a 45-mile-an-hour crosswind out there. That's terrible. Anyway, my impressions of the bike: suspension feels really good. Brakes are decent, not great. Seat is decent, definitely not good, not terrible. When you get up to about 70 miles an hour, 72 or 3, the mirrors start to get a little buzzy, distorted just a little bit. Anywhere from about 66, 68 on up. Little tingly on the bars up there, but not major. The engine in general is really smooth. The torque curve's great. It doesn't need to be twisted that tight. When you get up there, like I mentioned a minute ago, it won't shift if you get towards red line, which is kind of dumb. But it even says that in the manual. So I think you're way past the power curve anyway. So you know, this thing's made for a twisty road, let's face it. It's going to be fantastic for that. But you know, on a mountain road, you're going to be short shifting it using the mid-range, the torque, and where it's pulling really hard. You know, so probably max you ever want to shift it, it's anywhere between 9 and 10. That way it's going to shift every time. Sometimes it's kind of hard if it's in a little power wheelie in second, you're kind of feathering the throttle, you get up there too quick. So that just takes practice and getting used to it. But yeah, other than that, the thing's great. I need to adjust the shifter like I'm talking about. Really screwed my ankle in this part here. My ankle was broken. It still hurts. But this thing, for some reason, hurts it. So, on another front, I got kind of some bad news. About a month and a half ago, my PSA test was my 90-day for my stage 4 prostate cancer. You know, my prostate's, I don't have one anymore. About a year and a half I had stage 4, the worst kind that can spread everywhere. And they thought they got it all, took the thing out, 43 days of radiation, and I was clean. And 3-month check clean, 6-month check clean, 90-day check I just did about a month and a half ago. All of a sudden my number's coming up. It's not up real high, but I'm supposed to be 0 or negative. So they said it might be a false test. Wait a month. I just did another test. It's up even higher. So here I go again. So yeah, next Friday I get the wonderful Lupron shot, which is a male hormone blocking shot to keep it from spreading. And then eventually a super expensive scan that's not covered under my wonderful government health care plan. That sucks. So anyway, we'll just see what happens, but I'm just filling you in that I can't just make videos every day. I got to work, got to do everything. And it's a mental game. I'd say it's 80% mental. It's pretty hard. So I'm going to hang in there. I'm going to fight the battle just like I do working on stuff and my racing and everything else. So I'll make it, but I know what I'm in for. So anyway, I don't want to ramble about that. Try to keep positive. Appreciate your support. I'll see you on the next video. Probably get this thing up on the mountain, do a real ride. I coincidentally did 58 miles today. Totally different area. Wasn't nothing planned than yesterday, and I did exactly 58 yesterday. What do you know? So, okay, have a good one. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell. I'll be back. Thanks, guys.